tens of millions of dollars of tax money going for violence intervention programs in Chicago and elsewhere throughout the state. But of course, with headlines out of Chicago just over the Independence Day holiday weekend, 100 shot, 19 killed. That on top of the Father's Day violence, and we have yet to even get through the bulk part of summer. There's a lot of concern about increased violence. But how are your tax dollars being used? And is it the appropriate use of those tax dollars? We're going to get reaction from Republican State Representative John Cabello in moments. But I wanted to share with you some of what Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson and also Governor J.B. Pritzker had to say yesterday at an event talking about the Reimagine Public Safety Act and celebrating more tax dollars going to these types of violence intervention programs. So here is, with Illinois in Focus Daily, part of America's Talking Network and the Center Square, here's Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson yesterday talking about city spending of tax dollars to battle violence.
First of all, the investments that I've made is what the government has to do. We put $100 million specifically around violence prevention, but this also includes making sure that we're hiring more detectives. We're doing that. But the philanthropic community, business community stepping up to add more support to this work is critical. It's really about relationships.
So again, talking about $100 million from the city, but also yesterday it was announced that there was millions from private dollars going to help out with these efforts to, build violence intervention programs. And the mayor talking about the need for people who are known in the community to be out in the community to try to intervene in violence.
In many instances, you have not just conflicts, with opposing street organizations or gangs. Sometimes there's dispute internally, and you have domestic violence that exists as well. That's why I provided a holistic approach towards violence prevention. It's not just simply about what gets in the headlines, right? So it's really about relationship building. It's also about connecting to resources.
And don't forget, earlier this week, Mayor Johnson, after that violent weekend, he blamed Republicans who support the gun industry. He blamed even Richard Nixon for what he said was disinvestment in communities and harming civil rights. But the Nixon Foundation came out countering that, showing that Nixon actually approved a lot more money for civil rights efforts. Governor J.B. Pritzker yesterday asked about violence intervention, and he also shifted blame to Republicans.
It's frustrating, let me just say, and people are frustrated all across the country. Chicago's not the only city that suffers from violent crime. We have a particular problem that we know that we're always working to overcome. But if we had not put the dollars out there and supported community violence interrupters and rebuilt the infrastructure, because it got decimated by the Republicans, if we hadn't rebuilt it, the problem would be much worse today. We are making progress.
So again, the governor saying that it was Republicans who decimated funding for violence intervention. He reiterated that, answering another question.
Yeah, so let's remember that when Republicans defund programs like the ones that we're talking about in this room, the community violence interruption programs, which is what Republicans did, you end up with, and the study from Northwestern shows it about Illinois, you end up with more violent crime. It's Republicans that have caused this problem, and Republicans don't want to deal with it. They say they're the party of law and order, but the leader of their party is a convicted felon.
So to get reaction to this, we now connect with State Representative John Cabello, who is also in law enforcement and somebody who can bring a unique perspective to all of this. So Representative, your reaction first off here to the idea that it's the Republicans. I'm guessing that he's talking about former Governor Bruce Rauner pulling back some of those violence intervention funds. First off, your reaction to the blame seeming going to Republicans, and second off, are these types of dollars effective? Representative, hold on one second. I apologize. Now you're live. Go ahead.
Thank you. To blame Republicans that are in the super minority of causing these issues. I mean, how long has the governor been the governor? He's been here for quite some time. And the mayor has been here long enough now as well. And there hasn't been a Republican that's running the city of Chicago ever, I believe. So, if you're going to be a leader, at least lead and take the blame when the blame is squarely on your lap. Honestly, when I heard you say that, I thought they're insane. Maybe the governor or maybe the mayor of Chicago is going to check himself into the hospital again. It's insane. Now, some of these programs are very good. Some of them are very good, and but there's got to be some sort of measure, some checks and balances. We have to know where the money's going. We have to see the results. If they don't check mark all of the checks and balances that the General Assembly needs and wants, then we need to make sure that those programs are cut out so we can put more money into the programs that do work.
Representative, when I first started reporting on the State House, it was right at the tail end of the Quinn administration, and there was a big controversy about the Neighborhood Recovery Initiative. Not sure how familiar you are with that history, but from my understanding, and again, it's been a bit since I've reviewed it, but these were public dollars going to help out nonprofit groups, and there was questions about individuals getting six-figure salaries. There were questions about the money possibly, assisting in political motivations, especially heading into election. We're in another election year here, and the governor's got $180 million in this budget to help with violence intervention. Do you worry that we could run into similar types of situations if we don't have that real review and thorough understanding of how these dollars are being spent?
Absolutely. And I think, I came in obviously at the end of Quinn's administration too in 2012. So we kind of started around the same time down there. But yeah, there was mass spending on these programs that it was almost like a slush fund where nobody knew where the dollars were going. Nobody knew what they were being spent on. And that's not what you should be doing with taxpayers' dollars. So I think now with the oversight that we do in public safety approach, I'm the spokesperson on that. Rita Mayfield is the chair. We actually have a very good working relationship, and we're holding these folks accountable as to where every penny is going, because we can't have public dollars just being used as a slush fund and being put all over the place and nobody knowing where it's going, what it's doing, and how it's being spent.
Representative John Cabello with us here. It's Illinois in Focus Daily with America's Talking Network and the Center Square. And Representative, you're in law enforcement. Your thoughts on Superintendent Larry Snelling saying, hey, we need to prosecute these people, get them off the streets. Is that being done? And do you foresee that possibly changing with the switch over in state's attorney in Cook County?
So I agree with him wholeheartedly. And if we're gonna have the governor and we're gonna have the mayor of Chicago blaming the Republicans, then I'm going to lie the blame exactly where it lands for the crime problem that we have right now on J.B. Pritzker. He's unleashed 64 murderers early from prison. He signed the Safety Act, which decimated law enforcement, which has pulled law enforcement back because they're afraid to do the job that they're supposed to be doing. Because if they make one mistake, they may lose their job. They may even end up in prison. It's just what they have done to law enforcement is crazy. It doesn't really protect anybody. In fact, I think it makes people unsafe. So it shouldn't be called the Safety Act because it doesn't save anybody. I'm looking forward to a new Cook County State's Attorney because the one that's there is absolutely horrible. I've had her in some of the committees that I sit on, and she's a defense attorney. She's not a prosecuting attorney. She is more of a defense attorney trying to make sure that everybody's going free compared to prosecuting the people that need to be prosecuted. So I look forward to her exit and hope that the new state's attorney that's going to be elected will actually do their job and put people that deserve to be in prison, that deserve to be charged. Because what we're doing now is we're putting the good folks of the state of Illinois in jeopardy by not putting people in jail. Now, everybody doesn't need to be in jail, but there are some really bad people in the state of Illinois. And we must prosecute the people that are committing the violent crimes, that are committing the forcible felonies, that are committing bank robberies, and so on and so forth. And not just saying, oh, you had a bad day today, we'll let you out today.
State Representative John Cabello, greatly appreciate you taking the time. I do have to take a break here. Can I keep you over for like 5 more minutes just to talk some politics?
Only for you.
Awesome. All right. Appreciate that. It is Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Thanks for being with us. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell each and every weekday morning here with updates on how you can start your day knowing what to know here with the land of Lincoln. Illinois in Focus Daily with America's Talking Network.